This is Houston. Say again, please.
5. Houston, we had a problem. We had a main beam on level.
0. Roger, main B undervolt. Okay, stand by 13. We're looking.
Welcome back to the second half of Rendezvous with the Stars. Here we have Donna Hare with us, we have Kent Johnston with us, we have Billy Carson, we have Will Farrar with us here. We have to talk about some pictures that we have had uploaded by some of the UFAH members, and we have had some awesome pictures. Let me start here because I have uploaded some pictures, and my good friend Chris Maroney, that we had to sacrifice earlier today to get this interview started because he couldn't get on this Skype session here. Chris has uploaded some pictures also. You can go to marsmoonspace.com. In the top bar there is a little icon saying Donna and Ken. Click on that and you can see there is a lot of pictures uploaded for this conversation today. We have some other pictures from another UFAH member that we haven't heard much from, but he's a great hunter. His name is Mr. Dresic. We have some pictures from Neville Thompson uploaded also as well, and we have pictures from Will Farrar uploaded here also. And let me just scroll down, and Brett has uploaded a lot of pictures, and we have James Tracy from the United Family of Anomaly Hunters that also have uploaded a lot of pictures. I asked Donna and Ken to find 2 pictures uploaded on the site today each to talk about, and I know that Donna has chosen Brett's picture, 2 pictures of Brett, and that is Brett's number 7 and Brett's number 8. So I think we should start with Brett's number 7, and that is a picture of the limb and a huge disc in the background. Donna, do you want to talk about that picture first?
Yes, I wanted to let you know that that particular picture, I think why it got out was that you wouldn't notice that huge disc, radio disc in the back behind the limb. It's obviously bigger than what the limb could have brought in. I believe in the movie Aliens on the Moon, Ken was saying those things are 3 miles in diameter, or 3 miles, diameter. And the actual picture that came back, and they printed it with it in it, because it looks like it's part of the limb and they landed and set it up. That thing's huge. It is really far back from the limb. Now, you can see, even though it's further back from the limb, it's half the size of the limb. And believe me, if you've ever looked in one of those capsules, everything's very folded up, packed in. The astronauts sitting in there can barely move. There's no way they could have brought that particular dish to the moon. It had to have been there. The ones that they did use were fold-up kind. They were very small. And they had other ones they brought that they could bring and still radio back to Earth. So that in itself let me know, after seeing that picture, that that particular dish was there. And I really didn't notice that dish until Aliens on the Moon and Ken's photographs and things were presented during that movie, that thing was way too big. And the legs on it are the tripod that was shown in his pictures also. But just looking at that, you can see it's too big for them to have brought it to the moon. Mm-hmm. There's no way that could have been in that little capsule with 2 guys.
So you think this is an object that was there already, that someone else brought up?
Right, it was there already. I don't know who brought it up or whatever, but nobody, it was way too big for us to have constructed it in no atmosphere.
If you look at Brett's picture number 6, you can actually see an enlargement of the same dish. It's a great work done to showing this one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
then the other picture, the one of the paperclip, I guess that's number 6, is it?
I think that is Brett's picture number 8.
Oh, the paperclip, yes. That is exactly what I saw being covered up. That's what I saw, her covering up.
That's the very same image?
Very same image. She was covering it up. Now, I still didn't know that much about airbrushing. I was trying to learn how to airbrush. When I watched her, she had a dark opaque, and she was going around in a circle, and I saw that bar, part of the bar of the paperclip. It was shiny, and I could tell it was an actual piece of equipment and part of another part of it. And I realized it was not an anomaly, a natural anomaly. It was something that was constructed and made. It was an object. I can't call it a machine because I don't know what it was. But since then, I've seen more pictures more clearly. And there is a bell-shaped object that it was on. And that goes along with what Billy was saying about what he was talking about. I don't know if we sent it up there or the Germans sent it up there or what, but it was there before we ever landed on the moon. Because this was a flyby picture. We did every step, every step to getting to the moon was tested. Even as far back as those sleds that showed that we could withstand more speed than 30 miles an hour. I mean, we've really been working on going to the moon for years, more than a decade. Every step of the way was tested. Monkey sent up so if they can survive the atmosphere and the launch. Everything was tested before we did a next step on it. It was as if baby steps, and then we did it. We landed on the moon. If we hadn't been able to go there, fly around it, taking pictures, and come back, they would have never tried to go to the moon. Like I say, everything was tested ahead of time to make sure we could do it. And if there was a problem, we could fix it, possibly. So, that I have seen actually being covered up in the lab.
I would like to hear Billy or Will about the image we were talking about. The first one with the satellite dish. What's your thoughts on this one? I know you have both been analyzing pictures for a while here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've seen lots of photos from the moon that appear to have a lot of dishes. For whatever reason, they really turned the moon into a giant array. It could be for communicating with, planets outside of our solar system, planets in the solar system, but the dishes that they have up there are absolutely humongous. They could also be using these dishes back then, whoever created them, to do like we use them to do radar, to bounce, radar beams off of other planets and objects, to detect ships coming into the region from maybe another species or maybe even an enemy or potential enemy, or just to track the comings and goings of their own ships and vessels in and out of the area. These were really, so massive that they were like deep, long-range, devices. And this particular dish here is she's right. Donna's absolutely correct. It's so big that the only way that this could have gotten there would have been on multiple missions, because they would have brought up, in my opinion, several pieces. It probably would be like maybe a 4-mission plan to get a dish this big up to the moon back then, and maybe even 5 or 6 missions, because you would have had to take the LNB maybe, by itself. You would have to take the dish itself in maybe 3 parts, like cut it apart, like, put it together like a pie. And then the stand itself maybe could have been in 3 missions, because in my estimation, that probably would have been the most sturdy and most heaviest part. And as you know, every ounce of weight, it costs so much money and so much more fuel to get up break the Earth's gravity. So just in my opinion, I could be wrong, but this probably would have been a multi-mission task for the technology we had at that time. And I think this is only Apollo 12. So
Right.
I don't know how that could have happened.
Right. Well, not only that, we don't have the technology, if they're 3 miles in diameter, to build one today like that. We don't have that technology now, from what I understand. Now, I could be wrong on that, but we don't. Our dishes are not that big. 3 miles is a big dish. to have that kind of technology even now.
Some of the biggest ones we have on Earth are like the RC bow. You know, they're fairly big, but to get it up there on the moon will be a monumental task. And I'm saying this as assuming that this is maybe it's not as far back, and maybe it's not 3 miles. I'm just assuming that even under conservative estimates, it would have been a multi-mission task just to get this up there. So I feel that this probably was already there, and whoever put it there, you know, obviously it was. I don't even think it was the Germans. I mean, the Germans did have the capability to get to the moon and to Mars using the Hannibal 3 and 4, but they were more on a reconnaissance mission. I don't think that they were in a position, technologically wise, to actually get out and walk around and build cities and so forth and so on. I think that they were just checking out things that were already up there.
Right.
Talking about a huge size disc-shaped object, I can only recommend you to go in on the website mars.moonspace.com and click on Donna and Ken and look at Chris's picture 1 and 2 and 3, and that's all I'm gonna say. Go have a look at that, because that is some awesome pictures. And we have a new person joining us here. Actually, he has been here for a little while. We have Brad Collins-Shepherd with us also next to Ken. Hello, Brad.
Hello.
It was good we finally could have you with us. We tried to have Brad with us in the beginning. We have to sacrifice him because of a bad Wi-Fi connection. Ken is home at Brad's house now, and they are working from Brad's computer now. I think right. Brad is just about to be ready. Brad, what's your thoughts about the picture? Let's start with the one with the huge dish on.
Well, the one with the dish is very interesting, and yes, I don't believe that they could have possibly have gotten it up there in that little LEM. They do have the foldy kind, you know, and that's not it. So, you know, they had plans to actually put a satellite dish on the farthest side of the moon, which would be Daedalus Crater. And there's a lot of different esoteric reasons, and there's a lot of space reasons, you know, communication reasons, because that's where the Mars occultation will happen when Mars gets close and passes the far side of the moon. And what's interesting about that is that most of the dishes that I've seen anomalously in images are on the near side of the moon facing Earth. So there's some kind of communication at least going on with the moon and Earth, and that could have come, you could probably take that all the way back to Nazi Germany, you know, when they were doing things. And I do believe that they got to the moon somehow with some extraterrestrial technology that our government has confiscated since then, back with Paperclip and after World War II. There's some known technologies that they confiscated, of course, you know, the V-2 rocket, and they brought the father of rocketry over from Nazi Germany, Werner von Braun, and he, you know, they tested those rockets, and there was other things that they brought over. They brought over methamphetamines that the Nazis were experimenting on people. But to get back on that anomaly on the moon, yes, it's too large, and there's actually bigger ones than that. There's humongous ones, and I think they serve a couple of reasons. To collect energy from the sun, so that they could have a certain type of nuclear electricity, that sort of nuclear power. That some things that are similar to our satellite dishes, where the technology came from, was extraterrestrial. So a lot of these dishes on the moon are probably extraterrestrial. They're probably not even ours. We can't even do that, like Donna said today. There's no way. No.
Well, Brad, I have a question for you. I want to know what direction these things are pointed in. I don't think they're all pointed at Earth. I think
no, not all.
They're pointed in different directions away from Earth.
Yes.
Or, you know, I don't think they're all pointed toward Earth. I don't know that for a fact. That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
From what I thought about and saw, I don't think they're pointed at Earth.
No, they certainly aren't. You can actually see the Earth rise in the background of one of the images that I saw, and the dishes, the front part of the dishes, are facing away from that.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Right. Right. But they are on the Earth side, you know, which is It's curious.
That we know of. We may not have been able to light up the dark side of the moon as well.
You also find on the lib or between the dark side and the light side, and so that you got some antennas and things, and so those several mile high towers, so that any of the basic things on the back side of the moon would be able to communicate with those on the front side,
Yeah,
et cetera.
exactly.
So you've got a whole different array.
Exactly. You have the moon where, you know, it wobbles. It doesn't even turn, you know, completely. It does it from the vantage point of the sun. Sure, it has an orbit, but from our vantage point, it does not turn, you know. So we never see the far side of the moon from Earth.
Right.
If we were like on Mars or on the sun or something, you would actually, you know, see the far side.
Will Farah, what's your thoughts on that picture?
I think the one that's next to the LEM, the one we're looking at over here,
Yeah.
I think I put two pictures. I think that might be the S-band antenna, and we're just kind of looking at it a little bit closer. I don't think there's anything too anomalous about it. Those things folded up. If you look at the picture, they folded up kind of like fabric did, and they pointed. I think that's what we're looking at. That now, when you go down and look at the huge ones, I think that's where we're looking at the alien structures, the ones that they've been.
The S-band antenna, as you know, later we put rovers in the descent stage. We had a lot of storage area in the descent stage of the lunar module. They didn't have to be in the ascent stage and carried inside the flight deck. These were actually outside, and once we took them, it's just like an old lady's fan. You know, you just fold it out, and it would lock into place, and that's how they set up their S-band antenna.
Yes. Behind that LEM, there's actually a very large antenna that is vertical. It sticks out, and then there's another antenna attached to it that's completely vertical. And I don't know if that's an anomalous scratch or if it's damage to the image or something, but it seems to be right in the center of a very large disk when you brighten the image a little bit.
Yes. Well, not to cut anybody off, but the S-band antenna from those missions actually looks totally different than what we're seeing here in terms of its. Yeah, it's totally different. It looks like a giant umbrella that's upside down, basically. This actually, and the legs are like toothpicks. This particular anomaly actually has a very sturdy base. That base alone, the widths on some of those have to be in feet or meters. So basically, you know, you got to take a look at the S-band antenna. If you look it up, you can probably find one on Google. It looks like an upside down umbrella with a stick coming at the top and three like toothpick type legs coming at the bottom.
Right. Right.
I think we're gonna move on to the next picture here. Let me find my little note. Ken, no, sorry. Ken, I didn't get to hear your thoughts on Brett's picture number 8. That
was amazing. I've seen that.
Yeah, with the little object that Donna saw get blurred out.
You're talking about Brett's picture?
Yeah, Brett's picture number 8 with the object that Donna saw a worker blur out.
Oh, okay. That's all right. You're talking about not in there. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't have access to that picture right now that I can look at it. I mean, if you can describe it more.
Apollo 12.
Oh, Apollo
11.
Okay.
The paperclip, as Donna said.
Just the S-band antennas have.
The paperclip anomaly. Okay.
Oh, okay. That one. Yeah, I was shocked when I saw that one. That's got to be huge inside, and we were discussing that as to in chemistry. A lot of times you will put various chemicals and things together, and they can perk to different levels, like in the oil factories and things. The different layers of chemicals it can be then siphoned off. And my personal view, and I was telling Brett about that, is that the way that paperclip is arranged, on the lunar surface with the 1/6 of Earth's gravity, and that you could set up a sets of tubings that would allow various elements and things that they were trying to bring out, such as, and I'll try to think of the element that's very very rare on the Earth, but very
Helium-3.
yeah, helium-3.
Helium-3.
Right, you could get that to perhaps perk up through the paperclip system. So I personally think it's a refinery type system that we're looking at. It's huge too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it looks really anomalicious, as we would call it. Back to the pictures here, because Ken, you chose 2 pictures also, and I'm just looking down at my little screen here. And the first picture you chose was the one with the. It is described in the media as the one with the alien base on.
Right.
Yeah, that is Brett's picture number 2 on the website. If you go to marsmonspace.com and click on Donna and Ken and find Brett picture 2.
Oh, you talking about? Oh, that one.
And
okay.
Brett just got his computer up here. It's a manual one.
All right. Yeah, that's the AS-15 8811-970.
Yeah.
That is one of the ways, to me, is the creme de la creme. It is the absolute proof, as far back as Apollo 15, that there were bases on the lunar surface that we could not possibly have been able to do at the time. These domes are illuminated from the inside, and their structures are laid out in a grid formation very similar to what we do here on the planet Earth. Heart, for example, would be in that. And then there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 very huge domes could well be housing antennas. We really don't know. But the thing is that base is not a natural geological formation, and it is the structures. In fact, when you get it enlarged between the 3rd and 4th, coming from the left, rows of those domes, there is like a runway running for several miles. You realize that these pictures were taken at about 60 miles above the lunar surface. So when you're looking at those domes and things on the lunar surface, those are big. Okay?
These are truly amazing. Sorry to interrupt you. Donna?
Yes, sir.
Have you seen this picture that we're talking about here?
Yes, I was just now looking at it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those are definitely dishes, it looks like. It looks like they're all pointed in a different direction.
Those are all domes. Those are not
those are domes? They look like dishes.
Looks like an array of dishes.
Yeah. In fact, have you looked at it really close? I can see the little tripods under them. Or I did, I think. I thought I did.
They're definitely intelligently put there.
Exactly. Whatever it is, it's in rows, and I thought they were dishes.
No,
Somebody sent me a way of looking at these things really with a different way of looking to where it clarifies it even more. And I thought those were dishes, for sure.
I think they're domed living. Smaller ones are actually the living quarters, as the domes. The bigger giant ones off to the right side are probably have your big dishes inside of them, just like we use on your television station when you're watching the weather and the news. They show the domes, and they've got their antennas on the inside that move around.
Okay.
The other smaller domes, because those domes are bigger than your football fields and things like that. So those are bound to be living quarters, or my interpretation of it is.
Oh, okay.
You've got the roads, I'm calling roads or runways or whatever, in between them to where you can move from one to the other. It's definitely not a natural formation.
Yeah, the picture is really fuzzy. It looks to me, it's what I said at first too, that it could be an array of dishes or something like that. It reminds me of that.
Okay.
Hard to tell what they are, but the sun's really shining off of those things.
Right. That is wild.
Or they're illuminated from the inside, such as we saw in Tsiolkovsky.
That's a good possibility, yes.
Billy
Carson, what's your thoughts on that image?
This is this an Apollo 11 image?
Apollo 15.
Apollo 15, okay, 15. Because I took a phenomenal Apollo 11 image, almost from a similar angle with the limb returning back, and I discovered one of the most phenomenal moon dome bases. Matter of fact, me and Thomas actually did a video on it. It's on Mars.red. We got to add it to this page as well. And it's so clear. It's one of the most clearest dome structures you've ever probably seen. And as I look at these, it's possible that these either could be domes or dishes, or a combination of domes and dishes with some type of a possible, tube system connecting, where they can just shuttle across back and forth. Obviously, if you still have, you have to be able to get around. And most likely everything they do up there is covered. Even though there is a very, very thin atmosphere on the moon, there are trace elements up there. And deeper inside of some of the craters, there seems to be more atmosphere, more pressure, and pieces of ice, giant chunks of ice that contain tens of thousands of tons of water, which is why I think a lot of the times they build their structures inside of these craters for the purpose of having shade, because when the sun hits, obviously there's a lot of radiation and sunlight. It gets very hot. Also, you have access to water. You have access to some trace elements of atmosphere that you can possibly utilize in some way, shape, or fashion. And then, of course, you have the helium-3 everywhere, because that basically comes from the rays of the sun striking and hitting the moon. I think there possibly could be, these could be people, or had been people up there with some type of a mining operation going on. The only reason why I think that the Earth hasn't utilized this helium-3 is because there is no waste product that can be turned into a weapon. You can weaponize, the current nuclear power plants we use here. Uranium can be the waste product of uranium can be weaponized into actual bombs, but there's no waste product or very little waste product from helium-3 when you actually try to put it into a reactor. So this is probably why we haven't seen it on Earth.
Exactly.
But whoever's out there with this is probably using it on other planets, probably most likely even Mars. But definitely you'll never see it on Earth, because you can't weaponize the waste product of it. So, it is what it is. But it's a phenomenal picture.
That's exactly.
Will Farah, what's your thoughts on it?
I wanted to mention that the paperclip anomaly, it came from the image that Richard Hoagland used of Sinus Medai that he called the area Los Angeles, and it's right at the edge of that Los Angeles type area. And I'd also like to say that while Keith Lanny was working with Richard Hoagland, he's the one that discovered that for posterity.
Okay.
And what that means is that particular image that came from Ken's archive, Richard may still have, I hope, and it is a control image. It proves that something's there, and also proves that Donna's right. We saw somebody strip that out of that image. So it's really wonderful proof if we can get that from Richard. I know you're going to talk to him.
Will Farah, we never got to hear your thoughts on the picture describing an alien base.
Yeah, he's a buddy of mine, so we'll I'll see if I can get that back for you guys. That butterfly picture is awesome. That one, and then coming down to these ones, whether they're either lit up from the side or they're lit up from the sun, if they're that bright, or maybe crystalline, if they're still intelligently put there, and not by us.
That's right. Exactly.
Unless not by us, saying at least not by our current civilization here. Maybe us a long time ago, but not our current.
Lost societies.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have the next picture coming up from also a picture that Brett has posted. I have to scroll down here so I can find it again. That is an unusual reflection in the astronaut's visor.
Oh, that was
Brett,
good.
Brett, you should start telling about that one.
Oh,
Which number is it?
It's it's Brett's picture number 9, just below your paperclip picture.
Yes, it was. It's actually a really good thing that I'll let Ken tell most of. But it's interesting that there is an actual object. If you look at the reflection in the visor of this image, it's from Apollo 12, against 12, 48, 70, 71. and it is in a series of consecutive images. The actual image of Surveyor 3, where the astronaut's actually touching Surveyor 3, he has his helmet tilted to the side, and this particular anomaly is also in that image. So it's really truly there in the reflection of the visor, not just, just happened to be in that particular image.
Now, the way this picture came into fruition was in 1995, whenever I went and heard Mr. Hoagland at Seattle, Washington, giving a presentation, and he had asked if there were any people out there that had any evidence or pictures and records, on his program. And I was free that evening from flight instruction, and I took my bulk over. I was going to get him to autograph it, and I decided I'd just write a little note of introduction, telling him, that I was at the Lunar Receiving Laboratory, et cetera, like I've already told you. And the young lady at the desk where I was going to pay for my ticket, she says, "Don't move, you're who we've been looking for." And I was afraid I'm in trouble at that point. She ran in the back. In the next few minutes, Mr. Hoagland came in from the back, and he looked at me and he read that, and he says, "Come inside." We talked afterwards. He brought an entourage of about 6 people to my house the next day, and they were looking at the original pictures that I have in my archive, and they're all just going crazy about how clear they are, what they're seeing. And my wife inside, she said, "Well, what's that in this astronaut's visor? What are we looking at?" And that's where we came up with the idea. If you really want to know what they don't want you to see, look in the visor of the one being photographed. And then Karen, and then we're looking as I enlarged and took a look at this object suspended in the atmosphere above the lunar surface, reflected in the Apollo 12 astronaut's visor. Karen came along, Karen
Christine Patrick?
Yeah, Karen Christine Patrick said it looked an awful like the very first Star Trek movie of the Trouble with Tribbles. It's almost, it looks exactly like it. It's amazing how science fiction sometimes mimics true science. And that's how this picture came about back in 1995. And now since then, as Brett has pointed out, he's discovered several other, during other missions, reflections in their visors of this same object, or appears the same, but at different locations in the visor. It's not something on the inside that we're looking at.
Indeed, it isn't. Donna?
Yes, sir.
What do you think we are looking at in the visor?
I'll be honest with you, it looks like it's a reflection. You got to remember the visors are curved, they're coated to keep down glare, the sun rays. It's a possibility that refraction is from a different direction. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what it is, but it is not solid right directly in front of him. It may be above the ground somewhat. So whatever it is, it's above the ground, slightly up, but I couldn't tell you it's really high up. That mask or the glass is curved, so it's really hard to tell other than the fact that there was no flash going off or anything like that. So I would say that was a real object that was in the air in front of him. But I don't know what that object is. No. I wouldn't know. No. It looks like a man, but I don't think a man be floating up that high. I don't know. I don't know.
Billy Carson?
Yeah, it seems like it's definitely something that's not on the surface, just by the way that the angle of it is, and it appears that it's some type of anomaly. What it possibly could be, I have no idea. It doesn't appear to be a reflection of any additional equipment that was already on the moon from us, from humans. So it's really a strange one. I mean, it's a great idea to look at the visors. I mean, that's something I'm going to try to start doing a little bit more of myself now, because I would have never thought about it. This is a really strange anomaly. It's definitely something to me that looks like it's above the ground.
Mm-hmm. UFAH, your thoughts?
Just about the same there as Billy's. I really don't. God only knows what it is, what that could be. Just like Donna said, it looks like something up there. It definitely seems to be hovering above the surface. And if it's not some sort of refraction from something that's reflecting light, maybe I don't know, maybe the rover or something, but I don't. It looks like it's above it, so it is definitely an anomaly. One to look at, and I'm about to keep my eyes out now on the visors as well. Every time I look at the moon footage again, I was getting excited to go back towards it. It's like I keep forgetting it's Mars all the time. It's nice to look at some of the moon stuff again.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we just had a look at some of all these wonderful pictures that was uploaded, and that was the 4 pictures that was chosen for today's debate. I can only recommend you to go in, use the link in the YouTube video, go in and check all the other pictures that we didn't get the time to bring up today, because there are many awesome pictures from some of the UFAH members on this website here, Mars.red.com. Donna, I want to ask you, I think Ken is coming back here, that's great. While we're waiting for Ken to get ready again here, I would like to ask you, what picture do you remember the most or the best from the Apollo missions, any of the missions? Is there one?
We're having to switch microphones and headsets back and forth.
Okay. Is there any picture that you remember best?
The pictures that I remember best? Actually, the ones that I like the most are the ones we've shown here, and those that I mentioned. If you go to that my website, you can download for free, and that's at KenJohnstonMedia.com. And it's free to download those, and they're pretty high def. I'll say this, being an engineer, that I'm constantly being amazed at the things that Brett and others are now discovering, and it's interesting that the timing is such that they're now worldwide available for people that are interested, like Billy and stuff. And I can only guess what they're going to discover and find. Their keen sense of artistic discovery, reality. Fantastic.
Yes, fantastic. We will leave a link to Ken's website as well also. We are getting closer to the end now. We have had a nice and good constructive evening meeting here with Ken Johnston and Donna Hare, Billy Carson from United Family of Anomaly Hunters, and Will Farah from United Family of Anomaly Hunters. It's almost 2 o'clock where I am now, so forgive me if I look a little bit tired here. I want to thank you all a million times for joining in today and making this evening meeting an almost perfect meeting.
Thank you.
I hope to see all of you again another time.
Take care.
Yes,
it's nice seeing you all.
It was nice to meet both you and Brett in the same room here.
Thank you, Donna. It's so nice to see you, everybody together.
Same here.
Nice.
Same here.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Thank all of you. Thank you, Billy. You bring us a lot.
Peace and love, and thank you for joining. And for all of you out there, until we see you again, take care. Bye.
Bye.